Hey, what's up guys and welcome back to Anime King 2, and today I'm going to be giving you part 2 of What If Naruto Was Mahoraga Reincarnation, guys. Remember to get this one too 100 like as usual, share this to all of your friends in your social media platform, and also guys, don't forget to go ahead and check out the other what ifs on the other channels if you're new. Yes, that's correct, I indeed have 3 more channels which I post what if on every single day for you guys to enjoy. All the links will be down in the description, so go ahead and check out Anime King 3, and Anime Symbol, and become a part of the Anime King family. And don't forget to turn on the bell notification to see when I post, because I do post a hell of a lot. So without further ado or wasting more time, how about we begin this now, guys? So, the last part we left off, there was a group of boys that came to exact their revenge on young Naruto. Him being a year younger than them, yet he was on the same height as them. One of their friend had made a mistake, believing that Naruto was some child that he could bully. So Naruto sent him to the hospital. As all 10 of them attacked him, he broke arms and legs and noses, as he beat them rather badly, all of them being sent to the hospital. There was a lot of outrage at that. Hiruzen having to sit down and talk with Naruto. Naruto possessed rather abnormal strength, not to mention his eyes. It looked like some kind of bloodline, but he has not displayed any abilities that would come from said bloodline, unless the strength was the bloodline. Hiruzen warned him to take himself out of the situation, because he knew that Naruto more than possessed the power to do so, which led to a bit of an argument between them, but Hiruzen was firm as a Hokage. For the next couple of years, Naruto was rather calm, choosing to stay away. Not that he needed to, because after sending those 10 kids to the hospital, everyone decided to give him a wide berth, not messing with him. From he could remember, the people always seemed to have a grudge against him. So Naruto decided that he would simply not put up with their crap, as it allowed him to see things as different than normal people saw things. With the way he treat people and react to certain things around him, some would say that he was violent, but it was their treatment and emotions that turned him into this. Within the red light district though, he was well known. People actually seeing him there as a good kid. Not to mention him protecting some of the girls around here, which were a part of the brothel. Because of his rather unsocializing attitude, Naruto tended to not speak much about the things that he could do. More so that he could complete the clone jutsu despite the amount of chakra that he possessed. The thing was, whatever he did, the more he did it, the easier it became. He could do the clone jutsu and the transformation jutsu rather easily. That day when he graduated, he started to feel some sort of emotion, seeing the kids with their parents, so he headed to the forest, where he came across Mizuki trying to steal a forbidden scroll. Aruka was out there fighting the man. Naruto interjected, which followed Mizuki telling him about the 9 tails. A battle ensued. Naruto was almost cut in half by the Fuma Shuriken, but a blade ejected from the back of his hand as Naruto cut through it like it was paper, rather easily. He ended Mizuki without a second thought, running up on the man as Naruto was able to take his punches really easily. Ending his life, Naruto felt no remorse, no empathy. He was a traitor and he tried to kill him. That is how Naruto saw it. While he was in the office as Hiruzen was, explaining things to him, the realization hit Naruto like a ton of bricks. Him being the son of the 4th Hokage, but he claimed it to be speculation as he looked towards Hiruzen, who was rather shocked. After all, the son of the 4th Hokage would never be treated like this. While Naruto's words sounded calm, you could hear the tone that he was using. Hiruzen did not agree or disagree with what he was saying, telling him that they would talk tomorrow. Upon analyzing the blade the next day, there wasn't much that they could get back. The blade was not supposed to be there, but yet it fit perfectly with his inside, so they couldn't understand it. As for Naruto's parentage, Naruto didn't ask about it, and Hiruzen simply went with it, knowing that it would cause a lot of propaganda and problems for the young boy. Naruto was placed on Team 7. The members that he didn't really care about. Sasuke wasn't that weak, so. However, Sakura. When they got to the roof after that, they were told about the tests. The next day, Naruto told Sakura that she was going to die out there because she was weak. He tended to say the truth and not hold said information back. When Kakashi arrived, a battle ensued, Naruto fighting him to take the bells away. The battle between them was rather ferocious, as Naruto went toe-to-toe with the man. Granted, Kakashi was holding back, but the more they fought, the stronger Naruto seemed to become, as Naruto cut his weapons like they were paper. That is when Naruto felt the surge. He sent power down into the blade that was on his hand. Naruto gouged out a large portion of the earth with just the force alone. That made him smile. His attacks were more brutal and deadly, to the point that Kakashi started to fight back. Yes, actually putting up a fight against Naruto. In the end though, Sakura was tied to the post. As Naruto came to the realization, it was because of Iruka constantly telling him about the will of fire in class and all that. Sakura had to eat. Granted, she didn't want to eat from Naruto after he treated her that way, but Sasuke fed her and she was more than happy to eat from him. Kakashi arrived and told him that they passed. As he went to the Hokage Tower to speak to Hiruzen on Naruto's behalf, the boy was able to shatter his genjutsu like it was nothing after the continuous use, and that blade was getting more and more powerful. That night Naruto slept. Great changes also took place with him as well, as his rather unusual eyes with a pinwheel constantly spin the day during the fight with him and Kakashi. So yeah guys, basically that's what left off. You guys can switch across the place check of yourselves to see in this new episode. After the day of them becoming Team 7, Naruto had went to sleep that night. The pinwheel in his eyes had constantly rotate during his battle with Kakashi, allowing Naruto to even predict when Kakashi would show up during his substitution, not to mention break out of his genjutsu, with Kakashi trying to subdue Naruto mentally, and his blade had also gotten significantly stronger, given that it could now merge with the chakra that was coursing through his veins. However, going to sleep that night, more changes took place. Upon waking up the morning, as Naruto got up and stretched, he heard a ripping sound. Confusion marred his face as he made his way towards his mirror, as he found that his shirt had been torn. But not just that, he could not see his face. Yesterday he could see his face in his mirror, so why not today, he wondered to himself, as Naruto realized that he had grown overnight. Something like this wasn't normal. While he hadn't had an intense growth spout, like growing like taller than Kakashi or the Hokage or something like that, he had grown and it was quite apparent. And people don't just grow that quickly overnight. One of the things that he hated to do most in this world, clothes shopping, because as he tried on his other clothing, Either they were too tight, or they were now too small. As he released a heavy breath, Naruto made his way to his bedroom. As he moved and pulled out something from underneath his bed, there was a box hidden in the wooded floor. Inside of the box was nothing but cash. A lot of money that Hiruzen had gave him over time for his monthly stipend. That was coming to an end after all, now that he was a ninja. However, Naruto had started saving a long time ago. As much as he loved to partake in certain delicacy, like ramen, he soon started to realize that it wasn't that much of a necessity. The more he eat, the faster his stomach get filled, and the longer he could sustain himself without eating a bite. So he started to put that money away little by little, and given the years that passed, it had racked up to quite an amount. Time skip. The man in front of Naruto was currently ringing him up, telling him the price of everything that he's bought so far within the store, trying to keep his expression as neutral as ever. There was no civilian that could force Naruto to do anything, more or less when he was not a genin. And now that that headband rests proudly on his forehead, it made matters a lot worse. Naruto started to chuckle slightly. The man looked at him confused with his reaction. "I'm just trying to understand if you believe me to be some sort of naive fool or something," Naruto said. What are you talking about?" The shop owner responded. "While I might be young, far younger than you, that doesn't mean I'm stupid, and I'm quite capable of adding. And that price that you just gave me is worth at least 5 times the amount of stuff that I bought. So how about you check it over once again? And before you say something that would just aggravate me, it's been a bad morning, and I tend to do bad things when I'm not feeling good, especially when I wake up on the wrong side of the bed, and your little store here might be the result that would be able to calm my anger. After all, would burn really quickly," Naruto said, darting his gaze back towards the man. Immediately, realizing what the kid was saying, he quickly got to rechecking everything, and the price was extremely less than the first one that he gave Naruto. Naruto had seen the price tags on each of the items, and he wasn't an idiot, but some people believed that they could take him as one. Time skip. Confusion marred the both of their faces when they saw him. Sakura was the first to lay her thoughts on the open. Did you get taller?" she said. Sasuke said nothing though, as he just looked at Naruto. "It would seem that way," said Naruto. When Kakashi arrived, he made the same question. Hiruzen also asked the same question as well, confused by the sudden growth, because that was not normal. Till this point, Hiruzen had yet to confirm or deny what Naruto said about his parents. Just grateful that Naruto seemed to not want to bring up anything like that, as he hadn't really talked about it or said anything since, which was actually good, and also very bad in a way. Yes, it was. However, as the days went by, and as the days turned into weeks, and the weeks turned into a month, and 2 more weeks passed by, Naruto was slowly losing his cool. His patience wasn't really that long. It was a miracle that it had restrained itself for the past 1 month and 2 weeks to be quite exact. Luckily, his height stayed intact and did not go overboard, so he wouldn't have to purchase any more new clothing. As Team 7 entered the office, the cat that Naruto was holding in his hand was petrified in fear. The moment Naruto placed the thing on the ground, it ran to its mother with such a ferocity. Usually, The cat always tried to escape because women tend to squeeze him a lot and also dress him up in all sorts of clothing like it was a woman. But it wouldn't know that. But the cat just did not like to be around her that much. But now, it was jumping into her arms like it was a safe haven, which it was, as Naruto scared the poor thing to death, causing even Kakashi to scratch the back of his head. Once again, Hiruzen brought up D ranks, and Naruto finally lost his last piece of patience. Let me guess. Another couple of dogs to walk, another fence to paint, another kennel to clean out. Is there something on your mind, Naruto? Hiruzen said. Oh, something on my mind. That's what you want to ask. Well, if you must know. However, Kakashi interrupted, stopping Naruto from saying what was on his mind. Something else that he was trying to teach Naruto was thinking before he say things, because he tended to say the first thing that popped in his head, which was usually something awful and horrible, sometimes horrifying as well. Naruto took a breath and calmed himself. What's the point of us becoming ninjas if we're not doing anything ninja related? We are tired of these D-rank missions. It is a requirement, Iruka spoke up, as he was also there within the mission room. Every new set of genin must complete a certain amount of D-rank mission. It helped build unity, communication between comrades. Really? And we've been doing this for a month and a couple of weeks now. And all I know is that the Uchiha over there has a vendetta that can never get off his mind. And that girl is so obsessed with him that he's the only thing that she thinks about. So, how is that bringing us closer together? I would like you to explain to me thoroughly how exactly that is happening, said Naruto, turning his pointed gaze towards Iruka, who couldn't really explain that, causing Hiruzen to interject, trying to give Naruto a speech. But Naruto was ignoring the man, causing him to yell at Naruto. Before he turned towards Kakashi, asking what he believed. Kakashi was sweating knowing that all of this would be reprimanded on him. However, Naruto was right about one thing. Team 7 was not bonding one bit. Both men had spoken around 3 days ago about a solution to that. Perhaps today was the day. Time skip. Do you really believe us to be happy protecting an old drunk? Naruto argued as him and a man known as Kazuna, the one that was currently building a bridge, had been going back and front ever since he met them and insulted them, referring to them as a bunch of wet behind the ears brats. Naruto being the only one to question what he had said, and it hadn't been pretty, causing Sakura to sigh and Sasuke to simply look away. Kakashi had tried to interject at least 1,000 times now, and he was just tired. Kazuna was a stubborn old man, and Naruto was just the definition of stubborn. As they were making their way, Naruto stopped talking after a while. He seemed rather nonchalant, which was surprising given the heat, as Sakura was sweating, so much so that she didn't want Sasuke to see her in this condition. Sasuke was fighting through it. Kazuna was used to the heat. Kakashi was used to it as well, given that he was mostly covered up, but Naruto was completely fine. As they were making their way, Naruto hearing picked up on something. It was faint at first. However, it was heartbeat. He could hear heartbeats traveling upwards. They were coming from the ground. The more he focused, he could hear everyone around him, but that was not it. There were 2 others. But where were they, Naruto thought. As they passed by the puddle, Naruto's gaze was fixated on it, as a grin crossed his features. Finally, some fun, he said. The moment he said that, Kakashi was ripped apart by the demon brothers, Gozu and Miyaizu. One down, they said. They flashed behind Naruto. Now it's your turn. Naruto's smile increased. I would have hated that to be my final words, he said. However, Sasuke leapt into action, pinning their chain to a tree, causing them to dislodge. Miyaizu went to the left right after Tazuna. Sakura jumped in front of the man. Before Sasuke flashed, in front of her, Gozu heads straight for Naruto as he swiped. His powerful gauntlet, a blade dislodging from it. Said blade shattered when it made contact with Naruto's. As their gaze met, Gozu actually felt terror as he looked into those eyes, those unusual eyes. It was a smile on Naruto's face that unnerved him. Finally, I get to hit something, Naruto said, showing a shocking amount of strength by knocking Gozu's arm away. Gozu twirled on his feet as he brought his leg up as Naruto ducked underneath it. Gozu did not stop there though, he slammed his leg down and the other one came up. Naruto jumped though. Before twisting, he tucked in on himself before coming down. His feet planted in Gozu's face, slamming the man's head across the ground. His body literally bouncing across it with a ridiculous amount of force. Given the position that his leg was in, there was a snapping sound of his bones. It was rather violent. He quickly rolled out of the way as Naruto's blade lodged itself into the earth. He turned and swung his fist towards Naruto's temple, the gauntlet to bash his head open. Naruto weaved underneath it though, shocking Gozu. What the hell is this brat, he cursed in his mind as he swung once again, unable to put pressure on his right leg. Naruto stepped in close before he buried his fist into his stomach. Gozu's eyes went wide and white as well. Naruto jumped upwards and delivered a brutal uppercut, snapping his head to the sky. He then grabbed his shoulders and jumped. Naruto was completely upside down in mid-air as he brought his leg down with a considerable amount of force. Boom! It struck Gozu across the temple. The man was out like a light, his body hitting the ground. Naruto did not stop there as his blade was racing to cut his face open, but Kakashi grabbed his hand, having arrived and subdued the other brother, watching Naruto to see, as he could have entered at any moment, saving Naruto just in case, as he stopped Naruto from completely finishing the job. Not to say for sure because those hits were rather brutal. I know that you were there watching the show. Why interrupt it, said Naruto. You knew about my little substitution, he said. Of course I did. I could see where you landed. Kakashi had observed it during their battle. It was like Naruto's mind and body learned from the experience that happened to him. He has been watching this carefully over the month. During their training, his fighting style was reaching levels that he shouldn't even be close to. It was rather shocking. If something like this continued on, the stronger foe he fought, the more stronger he would become. The more his body learns, the more his body adapts. Good work on taking him down, however. There is information that I can get out of him that is required for this mission. Tazuna stiffened when he heard that. When the demon brothers finally came to us, they were restrained. They wanted to know how Kakashi knew about their sneak attack, causing Naruto to call them pathetic. The day was hot, and there was a puddle. Kakashi explained now to them, as it was revealed that Tazuna lied. Kakashi was rather stoic about returning back to the village, causing Tazuna to freeze up until "Are you crazy?" said Naruto, as he was talking to his sensei. "This is the first mission that we got that actually is a real mission. There's no way we're heading back to the village. Are we cowards or something?" "Well, if you are, but I am not. I'm seeing this through. And I know that the Uchiha over there doesn't want me to show him up like I just did, so I doubt he would want to return either." Kakashi sighed, as Naruto was using Sasuke's pride against him. It seems like it wasn't only his body that learned, it was his mind as well. Sasuke was fuming with anger that he wasn't the one to take the demon brother down. The only one that wasn't certain was Sakura, but peer pressure got to her and they made their way. As the group was now walking through a heavy fog, they could not really see much. The pinwheel within Naruto's eyes started to turn once again. Slowly at first, but the more they traversed through the fog, the more it started to rotate until it took a full 180. That is when Naruto's eyesight regulated to the fog around him, his eyes adapting to the situation, to the environment. But this was no normal fog. As they made their way, they heard a sound, but Naruto could see what it was. A white rabbit emerged, causing the group to calm down. Well, Kakashi was rather calm. Naruto heard it before it even came in their radius. "What the hell is that?" he said. Kakashi shouted for them to get down, but Naruto simply dislodged his blade as he raised his hand and slammed against the massive cleaver blade, knocking it away rather violently. Instead of slamming into the tree like the wielder wanted, the blade crashed into the ground, luckily hilt up, so the man simply appeared on the hilt, revealing to be Zabuza Momochi. Kakashi quickly telling him to stand by. But a ferocious battle began. Rather quickly, Sasuke was terrified, having first witnessed two genins going at it. He felt terrified, so much so that his weapon was reaching to his own neck. It wasn't just a battle though, it was a bloodlust, greatly affecting Sakura as well. However, it was doing the opposite on Naruto. It was getting him more and more pumped. As a pinwheel in his eyes started to spin slightly, barely noticeable, Zabuza appeared in the center of the group. Zabuza had to block as Naruto's weapons grind against his, actually denting the metal of his massive cleaver. Zabuza was shocked. What the hell kind of strength is this, he wondered, allowing Kakashi to run in and knock him away. However, one simple mistake as Kakashi got kicked onto the water, he got trapped. Zabuza created a water clone. "Run away," Kakashi said, shouting at them to leave. The clone could not go farther than a certain range from the wielder. However, Naruto thought what he said was pathetic. What are we gonna do?" Sakura said, panicking as she saw the clone moving towards them. Naruto's smile never left his face as he took charge. "You two, watch a bridge builder. I'll take him down." Without a second thought, without hearing them out, Naruto thrust forward. The clone pulled and swung as Naruto weaved underneath it. It spun around and lashed out. Naruto took the punch head on. However, his blade had speared it through the chest. He did not stop, Kakashi shouting at him to go back, but Naruto did not listen as he jumped, clearing the entire water, reaching to where they were. Zabuza swung as Naruto's blade clashed with his. Zabuza pushed him back as Naruto fell to the water. Something would have meant him not being able to fight anymore because he could not stand on it. However, what followed was shocking to both men. The moment Naruto's feet touched the water, he pushed off with every force that he had, causing the liquid to feel like a solid. As Naruto's blade started to glow, Zabuza was blown back. Luckily, his blade had protected him. However, it was severely cracked. Zabuza in that moment realized holding back against this kid was a death sentence. In that brief moment, he went all out. The moment him and Naruto clashed once again, he moved at his fastest, swinging his blade with such ferocity. Kakashi's eyes widened as he landed on the water free from his prison. As Naruto's right arm and his side was sliced right off. His eyes white and empty. Zabuza standing behind him, his blade dripping with the kid's blood that was healing and fixing his broken blade. Zabuza did not look behind him as Naruto's two pieces fell into the water. Kakashi lost it. However, Zabuza did not give him the opportunity. He attacked him right away, both men clashing vigorously on the water. The remaining members of Team 7 could feel the rage, the anger from the sea coming from both men, but they could not quite see what was going on. The entire lake was surrounded by a thick mist. Zabuza was being pressed because Kakashi was angry, and it wasn't a good idea to get someone like that mad. However, in that moment, Zabuza had feared for his own life, something that he never experienced from a child before. So he simply let it all loose. That is when the water started to bubble. As both of them dislodged from one another, a violent eruption of power bursted out of the water surface. As Naruto could be seen, his hands spread like some kind of deity descending from the heavens, but he had jumped from hell itself. His hand was perfectly fine, his side was perfectly fine. His arm had regenerated. The blood had washed off of him. Naruto disappeared, moving at a raw, incredible amount of speed. When Zabuza's blade raised as it clashed with Naruto's blade, Zabuza's blade cracked and chipped. Shock marred Zabuza's face. He quickly empowered his blade with chakra, but even then, this is not possible, he thought. Naruto's blade started to glow as he let loose. The entire water surface right at that area exploded from the amount of chakra that Naruto released when his blade released that power that it had contained. Zabuza was flung, thrown violently. Kakashi was also thrown away, but less affected. After all, everything was aimed towards the demon. Boom, bam, he slammed across the ground. He slammed through trees. He was thrown violently, slamming through boulders that stick out of the ground, before his body finally slammed into a hard tree. He collapsed on his butt, blood dripping out of his mouth, soaking his face mask. As Kakashi stabilized himself, he realized that Naruto was nowhere to be seen. Damn it. Zabuza opened his eyes and raised his blade, just in time to block Naruto's blade. However, his blade was already broken. So the final touch caused it to explode into two pieces. Zabuza rolled away. He tried to get to his feet, but the pain actually caused him to falter slightly, allowing Naruto to arrive and slit from his left side going across to his right chest. He didn't stop there. Another one carving an X across the man's chest as Zabuza fell back, blood leaving him. He couldn't believe it. This wasn't supposed to be happening. He let his guard down, taking his eyes off the kid for 1 second, and his blade His blade let him down. Never before has his blade been so easy to shatter. He underestimated the power that was going to be released, and now, the state that he was in. He staggered back. "What's wrong?" said Naruto. "I thought we were just getting started." Zabuza tried to predict the kid's movement, but it was like fighting someone that was fighting for the purpose of distraction, but at the same time, they knew exactly what they were doing. He raised his blade, but the pain that coursed through his chest caused him to move slower than he usually did. And his broken blade didn't have the reach that it once had. But it did show the conviction and strength that he possessed, because all through this, he never dropped his blade. Naruto jumped over the thing, using his own blade to slide across it, delivering a right hook to the man's face, breaking his jaw. As he was left clean open, Zabuza was in pain. He staggered back once again. But before Naruto could deliver the next violent blow, Naruto's sharp eyes picked up on them. He blocked the needles. Before he ducked, his head was almost knocked off by a furious person with a mask covering their face. However, their speed was refined. Naruto looked down as he saw 2 needles in his side. He looked back up before a brutal chop in his neck caused him to stagger back. He was hit twice in the chest with needles. The masked ninja thrust forward and slammed his hand in Naruto's stomach in a strange pattern, trying to paralyze him. However, Naruto swung his left hand. The ninja weaved underneath it though. "You are much too slow," they said, as they pulled back. However, before they could deliver any more strike, they rushed to Zabuza's side. Seeing the copy ninja on his way and Zabuza falling back, quickly taking Zabuza's arm over his. "No," said Naruto, shocking the faceless ninja as he rised to his feet. "Did I tell you that this was over?" "Impossible," the masked ninja said, not quite understanding how he was on his feet as Naruto started to walk. They quickly retreat, taking Zabuza and the broken blade along with them. As Naruto walking turned into fast walking before, his legs started to work once again as he started to run. But by the time he broke through the foliage, they were gone. "Damn it," he said, only to feel a looming sensation over him as he turned to see Kakashi, who wasn't happy in the slightest. Time skip. Kakashi made sure to reprimand Naruto for not listening to him, doing things that he wasn't ready for. He could have gotten himself killed. On the other hand, how the hell did his arm regrow? Kakashi is sure that he wasn't mistaken as he saw Naruto's arm was removed. Well, that did happen. However, it regrew underneath the water. Kakashi wondered if this was the Nine Tails at work. He had no idea that the beast could go this far in terms of healing. But he was wrong. That wasn't the Nine Tails. While it did provide a sense of healing to Naruto, his healing ability was from something else. Something that had to do with his eyes. Given the condition that Naruto put Zabuza in, they doubted that he would return so quickly. So they headed to the bridge builder house. As they met the family, the daughter that was happy they were here, and the boy that didn't like they were here. Kakashi was on his feet, so he started to train the group to make sure that they would be ready for the next time they fought. Starting with tree walking, an exercise that would be hard for some and easy for most. However, after 10 repeated tries, Naruto got it immediately. Yes, It was the same like the clone jutsu. It didn't matter what it was, it seems. The more he tried, the more his body started to learn. Kakashi had noticed that while Naruto was practicing, while he tried to guess the right amount of chakra to use, the pinwheel in his eyes was moving slowly. At first it was hard to see, but when you focused you saw it, causing Kakashi to believe that he had a rough idea on what exactly that eye of his represents. But he would have to see some more of it to make sure that he was correct. Because the Hokage believed that his eyes were just unusual looking, not having any special ability about them or any special quirks. But Kakashi believed that he was wrong. Jealousy and pride was a great motivator, as Sasuke wasn't far behind. Finally getting it, he looked over to Naruto with a smile. "Took you long enough," said Naruto, which seemed to motivate the young Uchiha even more. Until the fateful night when Iniri decided to let them know how much he did not appreciate them being here. Everyone was quiet, except for Tsunami telling him to be quiet and to stop saying what he was saying. Until Naruto spoke. "Shut up," said Naruto. "What?" said Iniri. "I said shut up. You're here whining about this and that we're going to die. But if you haven't realized just yet, we're here to save your grandfather. And we're not acting like a bunch of cowards. I know you're a kid and all, but I don't really care. Because if you think you had it bad, well then you need to see what is going on outside in your village. You have a mother here that cooks for you. A grandfather that actively put himself in trouble to make sure that the future is bright for you, while the rest of the kids out there are starving. They're hungry. And look at you, even wasting food. So it's not because you're a kid, it's just because you're weak. When I was a kid and I cried, you know what I told myself? To get over it. Because tears are for the weak. Not finding a way to solve your own problems make you weak and worthless. Gato took someone away from you, fine. Train and get stronger. And make sure he never do something like that again. Because sitting here and whining over it like a damn little brat isn't going to change anything. Naruto said, making his way. Kakashi questioned him on where he was going. I'm going to make sure that no one can ever do something to me without knowing the agonizing pain of what it means to piss off Naruto Uzumaki. With that, he proceeded to leave the house as he went to train. As Iniri ran upstairs, Kakashi had a conversation with Iniri that night. However, it wasn't just Iniri that was affected. Sakura actually felt bad for a kid to be saying that to himself. She knew that Naruto was an orphan, but she never really thought about it that way. She had no idea why she now feel bad about it. After all, he was the one that was saying that she was weak. But he did say that she was weak because she didn't train. In his own stupid way, he was telling her to leave the team because she would get hurt. But still, he didn't have to be a jerk about it. Sasuke seemed to be invigorated by Naruto's words, the last one to be more precise. And the one about being weak, and tears as well. Whenever he felt sad, he told himself to get over it, or he simply went to punch a tree. Time skip. Naruto spent the almost entire night training his skills, as his mind was like a gallery of images and videos. He saw the way Zabuza fought. He saw the way Kakashi fought as well. As he took that experience in, and twisting and turning their own styles into his own, blending everything together, creating an unstoppable force of fighting. However, it wasn't only that. Naruto reached as he pulled the blade out of his hand. Surprise! As another one regrew. He then proceeded to attach the both of them at the end. They fused into each other like they were made of glue, creating an unbelievable bond that could not be shattered. Upon applying his chakra, they extended, reaching a rather tall height. Upon regressing his chakra back, they reduce. Naruto twirled them around, shocked at the weapon that he just created. He then focused his chakra as he watches it break and turn into dust. He then flexed his hand as another blade regrew. A smile reached his face once again. Within the darkness, he could see quite clearly. He could see a bug landing on a plant over to the side. He could hear the individual animals and the insects moving near to him. His radius was not so far at the moment, but his body was adapting to everything around him. The more he thought about the fight earlier, the more he thought about it. The more he could feel everything. The hit from the faceless ninja. The way he hit him to stop movements in his body. However, his blood reopened those paths, regaining mobility, causing Naruto to smile once again. The next following days were rather cool and calm, and eerie, stalking Naruto for being one of them. As he was watching Naruto train at night, Naruto proceeded to ignore the boy despite knowing that he was there, until one night he questioned on why he was watching him. Iniri did not say it to his face, but he wanted to learn how to be strong. His talk with Kakashi had really opened his eyes, and Naruto's words about him being weak. Naruto looked at him and told him that he was too weak, crushing the boy in that moment. However, he could become stronger. However, those raised his hope. For the rest of the night, Naruto tussled around with the young child. Iniri was just a normal child, having nothing special. But he was determined to protect his mother and his land, to protect his people. It was surprised how much just a few words could change someone's mindset. The next morning, Naruto decided to sleep in, as he's trained a lot last night by himself. And then Iniri came by. Granted, his body recovered rather quickly than everyone, but he just wanted to sleep in. As he was getting bored, not seeing the enemy finally rose up, he wondered if he went too much and actually killed the man when they got him to somewhere to heal him. However, Iniri, who was outside, telling his mother how much and what he would do to make sure that she and his grandfather was safe, Tsunami was happy. Watching the fire inside of her son burn away over the past couple of years now was really bad. However, it seems like this team, especially the one known as Naruto Uzumaki, has brought a great wisdom in Iniri's life, something that she was grateful for. However, Iniri got too overconfident. When the enemy came to take Tsunami, he charged right in, without a care for his own life, something that would crush his mother. In that moment, Naruto's eyes snapped open. Swinging down his blade, the thug expected to see Iniri's head flying. However, what he got was blood dripping on the bridge, the small little podium of bridge that they were standing on. As Naruto held the blade in his bare hand, stopping it from cutting down the boy, the weapon cutting his flesh. As he held on to it tightly, the pinwheel in his eyes slowly spinning. Run into your demise. What a stupid thing to do, brat, said Naruto. I was trying to be brave, Iniri said. Yes, you were. Telling death to go and screw itself because you're about to save your mother is quite brave. But as I said, you're not strong enough. But don't worry, because I am, said Naruto. The thug tried to pull his blade back, but Naruto gripped it despite it sliced in his hand. "Oh no you don't," he said, his fist buried in the guy's stomach, his eyes rolling back, losing consciousness instantly as Naruto break the blade. The other one placed a sword at Tsuname's throat. "Stay where you are or she dies," he said. Naruto thrust the broken blade that he had outwards. It split through the guy's head as he moved and caught Tsuname, who had been knocked out by the thug when she was screaming for her son. Naruto placed her down as Inari went to check up on her, looking down at the two, once ninjas, one dead, one alive. He pulled the broken blade from the guy's skull and brought it down at the other one's throat, out of Inari's sight. After what they were going to do, they don't deserve to live, Naruto thought as he took away the corpses. He then returned. "There isn't anyone else nearby," Naruto said. "Go inside and protect your mom. It seems like the show is just about to begin. Don't worry. Today is the day that it ends once and for all." With that, Naruto took off, leaving Inari with the hope that he thought that he lost, as his mom stirred in his arms. He had an idea. They could all fight. All of them. Meanwhile on the bridge. "Damn it, Naruto, where are you?" Sakura thought as Sasuke was inside of the dome, made of ice mirrors. She could not leave the bridge builder's side because no one would be here to protect him. But Sasuke was alone inside. This mass hunter ninja was fast, incredibly so. She could hear Sasuke whimpering. She needed to do something. However, when Naruto landed on the railing, all of her worries seemed to wash away. "What's the situation?" said Naruto. She told him everything, as Naruto looked towards her and the bridge builder. "You seem to have things quite fine right here." Naruto dislodged his blade, as he then removed it, surprising Sakura. "Don't worry, I'll handle the rest." Naruto threw the blade as it broke two mirrors, one entering and one exiting. He jumped through the gap and landed on the inside. Kakashi weaved out of the way. So did Zabuza as a weapon, thrust past the both of them. Both of them wondering what the hell was that. Sasuke, who had needles surrounding him, and on him as well, as Naruto landed beside him. His eyes were different. "You idiot! Why did you come in here?" Sasuke said. "Now we're both trapped." "Huh. You really think this can hold me? Fire can't work against these things. They're tough." "It seems you're delusional enough to not hear what just happened. But I broke too." You did?" Sasuke said, looking at Naruto. "This person seemed to have beat the crap out of you, all bloody and messed up. But don't worry, because I am here now, and I'll handle the rest. You just sit back and..." Naruto was assaulted by needles, as he didn't even get to finish his words. Haku was relentless, moving so fast, moving from mirror to mirror, almost like he was moving at the speed of sound. He was blazing across, using reflection. However, his speed seemed to just be increasing. By the time that he was done, Naruto collapsed down to his knees, needles sticking out of him like he was some kind of porcupine. Haku arrived in front of him. "I can't allow you to hurt my master," he said, two longer needles in his hand. "No," Sasuke said, getting up to his feet, as he was really in a bad condition, but he forced himself up to fight and help Naruto. However, Haku started to drop the temperature, causing Sasuke to drop down, as the place became immensely cold. It used a lot of his chakra, but it was something that he had to do. "I do not wish to end your life here and now, but in order to complete Master Zabuza's goal, I will, as his faithful tool." Hey, what's your name? Said Naruto, his head still looking down. Haku. Nice to meet you, Haku. I like to know the names of someone that managed to make me drop to one knee. It isn't something that happened often, but before I came here, you were faster than me. We fought, not just once, but twice now, said Naruto. And these needles are similar to the one that you use, but these ones are made of ice. More powerful, I suppose, or perhaps more weaker. But it doesn't really matter now, does it? Said Naruto as he looked up, the pinwheel in his eye finally making a full turn. The needles exploded out of Naruto, his body blowing them out. As he rose to his feet, Haku crossed the distance within a second, his hand reaching out towards Naruto, but Naruto grabbed his wrist. The shocked look that was on his face was hidden by the mask. Naruto yanked him forward and crashed his skull into Haku's face. The mask split into two pieces. Naruto sent him slamming into one of his mirrors. Haku fell to the ground spitting up blood. It was so fast that he did not even go through the mirror. He saw Naruto racing towards him as he got up and jumped backwards, his reflection appearing in all of the mirrors. You're strong. Very, very strong. Stronger than I originally thought. But it doesn't matter, because now you die. The temperature dropped even more as Sasuke collapsed on the ground. The place was getting colder and colder as Naruto started to exhale. However, he rose to his feet, the pinwheel in his eye moving once again. Naruto jumped and shattered one of the mirrors. Another. Haku kept on recovering them, but it was taking its toll on Haku. His chakra. Naruto saw Sasuke and jumped down and threw him. Sakura watched as Sasuke came crashing out, in pain. She rushed towards him. Checking on him, he was alive, but just in pain and very cold. Haku wasted no more time and every single mirror had a reflection. He launched Senbons in the dozen. The real one split from the mirror and appeared behind Naruto. Now it's over. Damn right it is, said Naruto. Haku then noticed the blade in Naruto's hand. It was glowing as Naruto swung. Sasuke opened his eyes. Boom! All of them ducked for cover. The bridge even trembled violently. The entire fortress that Haku created exploded into a million pieces. Something was violently thrown out of the smoke. It hit the bridge with a violent thud. It was Haku. The body of Haku was lying there before it slowly started to move. As his eyes readjusted, Haku looked down, looking where blood was leaking from his chest, to see a massive, gaping slash. Before he fell to his side, Zabuza-sama. Those were his final words as he bled out and died. Naruto stepped out of the smoke as he stepped over the corpse, not even looking back. The bridge had taken a significant damage to that section. The power that he had released, the more time passed, the more stronger it became. As Naruto walked, he felt something inside of him stirring, something developing. The eyes that he possessed, his ability was adaptation. However, this ability was single on its own. But Naruto's body possessed chakra. Chakra mixing with adaptation. A phenomenon that wasn't supposed to happen because no one in this world possessed the ability that Naruto possessed to this degree. The adaptation also fused with his chakra. It's been a part of him for so long now that his body started to mimic the same. adaptation. As Naruto walked on the bridge, he did not notice that his footsteps were causing chilling sensations. The fight came to a stop as Zabuza saw the corpse of Haku. In that moment, things that he's been denying. Haku, not just his subordinate, his friend, someone that he should have saved. This overwhelming sensation turned to rage, all that emotion of anger. He zooped past Kakashi, who took his eyes off the man for 1 second, as Zabuza appeared above Naruto. Naruto was even surprised by the speed, as the man raised his head cleaver blade. One slice to reduce Naruto to nothing. However, Naruto raised his arm and what happened shocked everyone. Every single one there. But guys, to be ends episode right here. If you want to see the next part, then do like, subscribe, comment down below, and turn on that bell notification say posted. Remember, share to all of your friends in your social media platform. And also guys, don't forget to go ahead and check out the other what ifs over in the other channels. Yes, that's right. I did have 3 more channels that I post what if on every single day. All the links will be down in the description, so go ahead, check them out guys, and enjoy. And don't forget to turn on the bell notification to see exactly when I post, because I do post a hell of a lot. So without further ado or wasting any more time, let's get out of here. See you guys soon. Peace guys.